I was just getting a little bit emotional, and I wanted to kind of take a minute to work through my feelings and like my thoughts while I'm processing. Sorry about the way the video is taken. My kids are being good, so now is a decent time to talk about this. So I love science. I ask why about everything. I've always been a why kid. And I'm really struggling today as, well, somebody challenged me. They were just reaching out in concern, a friend, because I'm taking Adderall for my ADHD, and they wanted to let me know that it's the same as meth, amphetamine. And there are chemical differences, but, amphetamines do start out like the same way, and then there's a double, an additional CH3, which I think is called a, none of that shit is important. I'm doing here, I've got all my notes as I research this. I'm so sorry that I'm getting emotional, but, we all have things in our childhood that we wish we could change. And I wish that, my desire to ask why would have been celebrated outside of, the Bible. Because I was only ever allowed to turn to one book. I mean, I carried my Bible and my concordance and my dictionary and my thesaurus. As my thesaurus helped me be a more creative writer. I carried that stuff with me everywhere. Not only do I have ADHD, which really screwed with my ability to create my own structure in a household of a family that also has it. I mean, out of my siblings, there's only one of the four of us that doesn't have a diagnosis. And I would be... I think she could have a diagnosis. Anyways, if she sought it out. But, so I'm sorry, everything is all connected in my head as I sift through, the feelings that come. I am a research junkie. Man, if I need to figure out a way to make money doing this because I'm really good at researching. And that hyper focus from ADHD really comes into use there in a positive way. Okay, so someone told me basically that I was, be careful, it's the same as meth, so don't mess with your prescription and stuff, even though I'm taking less than what I was prescribed through my doctor's discretion, of course, speaking to my doctor regularly. Anyways, let me get back to my point here. But it's just because it overwhelms me emotionally to know that my desire to understand the world was substituted by belief and trash information. I still have a desire to understand why we needed religion and mythology and to go back to what it was like when we were first here in the world, right? So I understand that it can be helpful for people and it can give you answers that give you peace. But they're not good enough for me. And once I realized that they weren't freaking good enough for me and that stuff wasn't everything that they said that it was, I couldn't go back on that. But my point of this is not that or having ADHD or anything. It is that I love science, and I was taught not to respect it. was taught not to respect it in such a way that I don't have a foundation of understanding that I can just go to college and build on or whatever I want to do with it. I'm at like grade school level with my understanding of science, and it just makes me so sad. I'm devouring a lot of books written by atheists who have very strong foundational scientific understanding of the world. And I'm over here, just so simply trying to grasp the ideas, even though I don't understand a lot of it. And I'm so capable of understanding it, which makes me really sad, because I feel like there's so much to learn that I lost out on, that I wasn't allowed to explore. Because if it wasn't in the Bible, it wasn't necessary to know. Which is so crazy to me. My father didn't respect my education or even care if I went to school. If it wouldn't have been something where my parents would have been like arrested not sending me to school, they would have. We talked about homeschooling a lot. In high school, I did a semester of homeschooling where my parents had never even ordered my books or anything. So I just lost an entire semester of education. I failed a lot of my classes because I wasn't getting help with ADHD, and I was really, really struggling. And my home life was, even though we were Christians, it was really pretty shitty. There was a lot of love, but there was such chaos all the time. No structure whatsoever, no bedtimes. Eat at like 1 o'clock in the morning if you ate that day. Anyways, I did not gather my thoughts for this one. And maybe the raw emotion is good. Maybe it's not. We'll just have to see, I guess, with the responses from people. But sometimes it just hits me. I'll be doing something completely different, And the reminder of what I've missed out on or what I don't know can get real loud. And it sucks. God, it sucks. And I know, like, we can't just sit here and be like, what if, and all of that shit. Like, I have to process and deal. And God, I'm doing my damnedest to... I've always been a critical thinker. It was just, I put all of that energy into proving the Bible's truth. I guess if you are working hard enough to prove how right it is, it'll be pretty easy to figure out that it's not. Anyways, let me pause this for a second. I have to pause things when I need to gather myself because I still don't know how to edit videos. I remember how badly I wanted to go to college. I remember talking to my... it would have been a Christian college even though I couldn't afford it, right? I remember just like praying for a miracle because that's what we did. We didn't have money and things were falling apart. We prayed and we told the church and then the church helped us, but I don't know how I would get the kind of money to go to a Christian college or any college. But I remember my dad like not trusting education, the teachers or the information that we were, being told. He really needed to be in control of what we were being taught. When I was in 6th grade, I had to sit in a little closet-sized room between two rooms while my classmates learned about Greek mythology because I wasn't even allowed to learn about it. Forget that, like, I know the truth, right? I'm still not even learn about, like, Greek mythology? What the heck? So, I was often like ostracized in school from those kinds of things. If we were learning about the like evolution and stuff, I wasn't allowed to learn those things. He would write a note and I would not have to study that. I would be given some stupid mindless work. Anyways, I remember wanting to go to college so bad. First of all, I knew I was really intelligent, but I always felt so stuck. Like, what do I even study? I'm just going to be a minister. I'm good with people. Oh, and that's another thing that was really fucking hard. The only way I could ever be like a minister in the church like a pastor, was to be married and then be underneath my husband, who needed to be the pastor, right? So being in a Pentecostal Church of God, even though a lot of them have changed those things, it's still hard. Like, I don't care if there's like one woman pastor in like your denomination or whatever. It's fucking hard to actually be like seen as pastoral material, because the mindsets of the people who are in authority that are raising you up to these positions still don't think that women should preach or teach or whatever. So even if like denominational changes are being made in progressive Christianity, like, there is still a fucking fight if you're a damn good Bible teacher and you're a woman and you would love to teach and you can't. Anyway, so those were hurdles. And I remember like in my 20s realizing like, I'm not going to get anywhere with ministry. Like, this sucks. And my husband doesn't want to be a pastor. He's a musician, and I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough to sing with him. I was leading worship in the youth group, and I sang on stage on the praise team. So I was in a microphone, but I knew I had a lot of vocal limits, and I just relied on the Spirit to help me. But I just wanted so bad to teach. It's always been my heart to... I have like a natural ability to find out why and like lay foundations and then build the structures on them for people who are trying to understand something, you know? I have a way of just kind of like digging in there and getting to the root of information to paint a broader picture for people to understand, because that's what I need to do for myself to understand things. Anyways, college wasn't an option. I did so horrible in school, I wouldn't have been able to go anyways. I remember going to get my GED, and I know that just the GED is like 8th grade level, but I went in to take some practice tests because I was going to study for it. And I passed all of my practice tests with like no problems. So then I just took my GED, and even during that, it was my youth pastor who actually took me to get my GED and took me to those classes, because my parents just did not give a shit. But there was actually like a lot of jobs I couldn't even apply for without having my diploma. I was working full time during the day, so over the summer when my night job turned into a day job, I didn't want to quit, and so I didn't go back to school because I, failed my senior year and I needed like so many more credits. Oh my God, it was ridiculous. Anyways, God, I hope you guys are bearing with me and this isn't completely fucking miserable to watch. College just wasn't an option. Anyways, okay, that's what I meant to say. I know it's only 8th grade level, but I hadn't been like refreshed in any of the information, and like I just freaking like did it all. Like, I knew what I was doing. I always like understood things in school. I was just horrible with homework and follow through. In an unstructured home where there was just chaos everywhere and stress from financial, from poverty. It was very stressful. My mom was depressed, so I helped with my siblings all the time. The house was an absolute mess. I never think straight. There was nowhere to even sit to like do homework or to be quiet. Like those places in my house didn't exist. I missed, I think, 2 questions on my GED testing. That's it. And I remember being like proud of that, but pissed off. Like, why didn't I have support to do well in high school? To get a scholarship and to go to college. And here I am, 35, just so educationally like insecure. And that is 100, maybe not 100%, but very much my indoctrination and my father's like lack of respect for information that wasn't biblical. This is just like a world we're passing through. Like, none of this shit is important. Only God, only the Bible matters. And here I am trying to like learn things that my kids already know. I hear a lot of deconversion stories from people who started deconverting in college. It was the first time they were actually allowed to like read other books, even though they were even in like Christian colleges. Actually, my best friend at the time, even though she just kind of disappeared one day. Like, I noticed we weren't friends on Facebook anymore. And with ADHD, I often struggle maintaining friendships because I get real insecure, and so I get quiet because I don't think people really actually like me. And RSD, it's called rejection sensitivity dysphoria. And all of the failures and stuff over the years would just add up to a lot of insecurity. Anyways, she just cut me off one day, I guess, and I remember running into her public afterward, and she just acted like everything was fine, but it was so weird for me. She was going to college. She was studying psychology. But it was Christian-based, and she was doing like biblical studies, and she kept bringing me this information about all these contradictions in the Bible, and I was like fiercely studying it because I was just like fascinated. But I came to like my own understanding about those things. I reasoned a lot of it myself, and she stayed in the faith. But I remember thinking that she like felt bad that her questioning because of college kind of derailed me a bit. And it did, but in like obviously an awesome way. I'm like so fucking happy to be done with that shit. But like, she was teaching me like about all of this stuff that, in psychology and everything. It was like so fascinating to me. And we think that like it has to do, like there's a multi-layered stuff here going on, right? Like I have ADHD that was undiagnosed until I was 35. I was living in poverty. There was indoctrination into evangelical Christianity. It was very controlling, and you don't need to get an education. You just need to marry, a man that has a good job and go into ministry together. Like, that was it. Anyways, it's like multi-layered, right? The educational problems, all of it. And I stopped. I've read a lot of books. Like I mentioned in another video that there were a lot of books that I have read that have helped me come away from the faith, even Christian books, like Love Wins, that made me question the existence of hell, which removed that fear from my life. And then Pagan Christianity, Frank Viola, that was a big eye-opener. The pagan rituals and things that we call Christianity, and that's what got me questioning tithe, and if it was actually something we're supposed to be doing in the New Testament, and it's not. It wasn't even for us. But that was a deep study that I did after reading those books. Plus the questioning of the, biblical inerrancy from, coming into all those contradictions. I really started to form opinions about the Bible that it wasn't perfect, and cracks in the foundation started to lead me to other resources for information. And I'm so glad that happened. So my friend just like disappeared, the one that I was talking about, and she was my best friend. I get real nervous when people call me their best friend, because as soon as somebody calls me their best friend, I feel like they set up all these expectations that I fail, and it makes me so sad, because who doesn't want a best friend? Who doesn't want to know that you're important to somebody? But they always leave. Like, literally all my best friends always leave. This isn't about that, but now that anyways, I think that me leaving faith and being so, and her like knowing my journey out of faith and watching it, I think that it just really bothered her that I left faith, and I think that she wished that I was like physically around more while I was going through my divorce, but my life was fucking flipped upside down. I needed her so much too, so I was really sad, but what can you do? Friends come and go, right? I've accepted that for the most part. All right, I'm getting up on 21 minutes, but yeah, studying science and really devouring this information makes me like super sad that I didn't already know a lot of these things. I'm sure a lot of people don't, and they have their specialties and stuff, but like science, this stuff, finding out why, research, it's like what I'm good at. And I could have had like an awesome career in it. But I had to work through indoctrination. I mean, I've only been an atheist for a year. I was like agnostic for 2 years. So I've really only been like outside of Christianity for 3 years. My deconversion took like a full 7 years. 7 years of questioning and being in limbo. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'll keep sharing my stories and my epiphanies and my pain and my experience and my joys and all of these fucking things I got going on here. Also, meth is not exactly the same as Adderall.